All right, welcome back, everyone. Hoping you're sticking around for another interview of top flight athletes who went on to play at the collegiate level. We're hoping to get a little bit of behind the scenes information and tips and tricks to help your college recruiting experience be a little more productive and a little better off. So let's go ahead and jump into this one. So, what's your name?
My name is Louie Peralta.
Awesome. Okay, and what position did you play at the juniors level?
I was a sixth rotation outside.
Cool. And when did you graduate from top flight?
I graduated in 2017.
Okay. So then what school are you currently playing for?
I play for North Park University in Chicago.
Okay, not too far away. Love it. And what position at North Park are you currently playing?
Right now, I'm just a DS.
Okay, little position change. What about your current year? What year are you at North Park?
I'm going to be a senior in the fall.
Okay. So on this edition, I'd like to kind of focus our attention to the communication process within getting recruited. So within the time that you started talking with the coaches, what was the communication style that you guys ended up using the most to communicate between one
another? Initially, it was email. So I sent out an email to a lot of coaches I was interested in, or a lot of schools I was interested in, and then as the interest grew on both ends, it switched to more texting and phone calls and things like that.
Okay. And did they seem to have a preferred method, or did they let you know about a method they would prefer to use to communicate, or did it just kind of have a natural evolution through the process?
I would say both. When it became more frequent communication, they would have liked to text or call more because email is just, they are flooded with emails all the time during the recruiting process. So it's a lot easier for them to sort through the very interested players rather than just email.
Okay, makes sense. Did they ever use any social media ways to communicate with you at all during the process?
Some of the schools I was really interested in, they sent me a couple like Instagram posts from like recent tournaments they would have or things like that, but I never got any like DMs from them or anything like that. It was usually very like professional platform.
Okay. So when you started communicating with the colleges, how many schools were you talking with?
Talking about joining their volleyball program, probably 3 or 4, like seriously talking to them, because I was more focused on like the academic part of university at that point. So not as many schools as a lot of my peers were looking at, but like a decent amount.
Okay. And when you first started the very beginning, did you have a larger pool than what you finished with, or did you kind of stick with the same amount of schools the whole way through?
Absolutely. I had a very long list of schools that I thought I would like and enjoy, but I always filtered them out through like their volleyball program and their psychology program, which is what I'm currently in right now. So those are like the 2 big main factors that were helping me sift through the large list of schools I was looking at.
Okay. And looking back, did you feel like the amount of schools you were talking with or that you started with was a good amount, or did you feel like it was too few or too many, and and did that kind of affect the process for you?
I think that I had a pretty good amount of schools. Like it wasn't too overwhelming to handle them all. And it was not too hard to keep them all straight. So I think I had a pretty decent amount of schools for my liking.
Sure. And I know everyone's going to be different. When it came to the actual communicating process, how frequently were you reaching out to schools when you first started out trying to communicate with them and kind of break initial ground to start that process?
I would definitely send them an email maybe once or twice a week. So my first initial email was, the general, like who I am, like this is what I play, this is what I want to do. So it was like the baseline email, like the foundation. And then I would go in and be like, I just had this big tournament. I have this tournament coming up if you would like to come. So when there was like milestone things in my season going on, I would definitely reach out to them and let them know.
Okay. And when you actually started communicating with the schools and you got into the thick of things within the communication process, Was there a specific coach or staff member that you most frequently interacted with, or did it bounce around?
Mm, it was pretty consistent for all of them. So I would email the head coach and the assistant coach just to make sure that someone was reading my email. And if they had a graduate assistant available, I would also do that because just knowing the head coach would be flooded with a lot of different duties rather than just recruiting. So it would be initially it was definitely more of like a assistant coach, graduate assistant communication. But once the assistants like sifted through the recruits, they would send them over to the head coach, and then I would start like once it became more serious and more like, do you want to come on a visit? Do you want to see the campus? Then I would be talking to the head coach way more often at that point.
Okay. When it came to it, how much guidance did they give you in the communication process towards like the next steps? Were they very involved in telling you what to do next and kind of leading you through the recruiting process with them specifically individually? Or was it still very self-guided and self-decided in terms of, okay, this is the next process or this is the next step I'm going to do in how I try and get myself recruited?
They were actually very helpful, more helpful than I thought in the beginning, because my mindset was like, oh, they're very busy, they have a lot of recruits. But coaches that were genuinely interested, they would be like, okay, we have a registration day this day. We can set up a visit this day. And then like they would set up meetings with like program directors for academics. So it wasn't just purely like, come play volleyball for us and we're only going to help you with volleyball things. They helped along the way, especially like they would remind me when registration was and when there was visiting days and things like that. So they were very involved in that way.
Cool. Was there anyone outside of the athletic department that you also had as a point of communication that you interacted with on a semi or regular frequency during the recruiting process?
Absolutely, yeah. So the coach connected me to the psych department head just because she knew I was very serious about my academics. As well as we all know that college is like huge finance. So I was in touch with like the financial director at North Park as well when we got more serious. So there was a lot of different administration helping me out in that process.
Awesome. Awesome. So all in all, how would you kind of have rated two different things? One, the intensity of the recruiting process. Was it overwhelming? Was it difficult? Or was it more easy? And then two, how would you rate your level of ease within that in terms of, did you think that actual communication itself, do you think it was rather smooth, or do you think it was something that you really struggled with?
I think in recruiting, I think something that I realized is like I got out what I put into it. So like if I was reaching out and if I was keeping up with my emails and things like that, then the process was not very difficult. But since I was a senior and I was like trying to enjoy my senior year, it was very difficult for me. So I would probably rate I'd rate the overall experience like difficulty wise like a 6 out of 10. Because I didn't put in as much work as I should have, and I got very lucky in my recruiting process. So I definitely think that I should have put more work in, and it wasn't as easy for me, but I made it hard on myself. It wasn't necessarily like, when I got the guidance, I got it, but it was pretty much my fault when I wasn't getting the guidance I needed because I wasn't reaching out properly.
Sure. Well, and then to wrap it on up, do you have any kind of parting piece of advice for the athletes right now to be able to make sure that they have a good recruiting process?
Kind of what I said, like you get out of it what you put in. So just putting in as much as you can. So if you really, really want to get recruited, really, really get out there and put yourself out there. It's a hard thing to do. Another thing is reach out to schools even if you don't think that you're going to like them, just like keep your mind open, because I mean, North Park wasn't really on my radar until they were. So just keeping an open mind.
Awesome. Excellent. Really good piece of advice right there. So again, thank you so much, Louie, for taking the time to go through this interview with us and try and help our current athletes to understand the process and get some behind the scenes peeks into it. It's really beneficial, and I know our athletes really appreciate it. I hope and wish you all the best of luck continuing on as your senior year and rocking out at North Park, and we look to see some really good things and get to follow you your last year, okay?
Sweet. Thank you so much.
All right, thanks so much, Louie. Have a great one.
All right. Thank you.